Cozy traditions feel good. And that includes your fall makeup look. From lashes for days to enhancing a smoky eye with your favorite shade of brilliant eye brightener, Thrive Cosmetics is your go-to for completing every fall look. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/cozy for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/cozy.
Welcome back to the Center in the City podcast, a space to pause, breathe, and come back to yourself, even in the middle of a full and busy life. I'm your host, Wade Brill, and in each episode, we explore mindfulness for real life, simple practices, reflections, tools to help you feel grounded, present, and connected to what matters most to you. So let's settle in and let's get centered. Welcome back to the Center in the City podcast. I'm your host, Wade Brill, and I am so glad you are here. In today's solo episode, we're going to talk about healthy striving in the new year. What does it look like, feel like to step into this new year and dropping this striving mentality that automatically leads us to burnout, and instead inviting us to pace ourselves, step into the new year feeling confident with each step that we take, or confident enough with each step that we are taking, so that we're dropping this idea that we have to run faster or that we're already behind, which can create so much lack and stir up and spin up the old anxiety train. So we want to change that story and instead invite enoughness, invite this healthy, striving mentality in, so that we can actually be ambitious and go for what we want, but feeling really good while we're doing it. So wherever you are listening to this episode, while you're on a walk, cooking, commuting, I welcome you to settle in and let's get centered. I had a coaching session with a client this week who started out our session with this huge exhale. And she just was expressing like, damn, it is the beginning of the year. And why do I feel already behind? Why do I feel this internal conversation stirring that I've wasted my time already and I'm falling behind, and oh my God, it's almost mid-January, right? And she just started to feel and experience so much, not just anxiety, but a lot of self-judgment, a lot of self-criticism came up. And I know she is not the only one dealing with that internal conversation. When you are an ambitious person, when you are a driven person, it is so natural and normal to want to put your foot on the gas pedal and just go full throttle. And the new year has this pressure that is marketed to us. It's ingrained in our culture around new year, new you. You have to start the streak of the calendar today. And, if you don't go to the gym, or if you fail to hit your daily goals, then you're already behind. I talked about this a lot in last week's podcast episode. And usually there's something happening internally where it shows up for some people like there's this fear of not wanting to fail. So if I don't want to fail, I need to push really hard. I don't want to fall behind. And then there's this kind of inverse angle it can also come at, where people want to be their best self. They're so driven. They have so much pressure and know they're so capable that it's like, how have I not already achieved that? Or how am I here at the start of the week, of the month, of the year, and I haven't even done X, Y, and Z yet, right? I know I have such high standards for myself. Like I should be able to do that. So there's both sometimes for people, this fear of falling behind, this fear of failing, as well as this tremendous sense of pressure and sense of capability that we can put on ourselves. And it's really common in ambitious, driven people who are naturally just successful to recognize when they look back at their past, they typically have this track record. Like when I push myself, I can go really far and I can have really big impact. So I should be pushing myself all of the time. If I'm not pushing myself, then what am I doing? I'm wasting my skills, my capabilities. And that can be a really hard place for people to be in because they're naturally getting rewarded internally as well as externally that they're doing a good job, that they think if I slow down or if I take a beat or if I even take some of that pressure off of myself or talk a little more kindly to myself, that I'm going to fall behind, that I'm not going to be as successful or I'm not going to have as big of impact. And I'm here to remind you that research, science shows us that when we as humans are kinder to ourselves, when we meet ourselves with a lot of self-compassion, when things are challenging or hard or fear comes up or that extra pressure comes up, when we create that internal stress, that extra stress, which is so not helpful for our systems, for our nervous systems, for our mind, for inflammation in our bodies, when we create that extra stress, that extra pressure, we start to self-sabotage ourselves in certain ways. When we can talk to ourselves and be with ourselves with a self-compassionate lens, when we can offer empathy to our internal emotions and thoughts and weather that happen, we can then create different neural networks, different neural pathways in our brain of how to respond. And we can then actually have more capacity to be with life instead of looking at life through a very narrow lens, through a lens where we're holding on to ourselves so tightly and thinking that we need to be performing within this window to be enough. It's always a really powerful practice in everyday life, but specifically in the new year, when we're thinking about our intentions, when we're thinking about our goals, it can be so easy to look at life through the lens of lack. I know I do it all the time, and I really try to be mindful of it because when we're constantly looking at what's wrong, what's not working, what we don't have yet, that's where our attention and our focus is going. But when we think about what we want to be creating and calling in, and we can allow it to come from a place of enoughness, that we're already whole and complete without achieving that thing or without reaching that milestone or without finding that love, we are then already complete. And so the items on the outside of our life that we so desperately want, that we think are going to make us so happy and fulfilled, they actually won't. They might contribute some, right? They might add to our happiness, our sense of safety, our sense of love and belonging. Like those are very important things. Stimulation, like growth, all of those things are important. But to know that we're already whole and complete, even if we don't reach our goal of reading 25 books a year, or reach our goal of getting that new pay raise, or reach our goal of finding a partner. I want to clarify, those are all great goals to have, and I want to support you having them. But the energy in which you come at them from is just as important. So welcoming in, starting this new year off with the sense of I am enough. I am whole and complete just as I am. And I'm calling in these things versus my life won't feel complete. My 2026 year won't be a good year unless I do this, this, and this. So just notice how you're talking to yourself. Notice your relationship to the goals and the intentions that you're setting, and really anchor in to feeling enough and being enough is the healthiest place we can start the new year off. And from that place, it creates a tone for healthy striving. It creates a tone that allows us to say, yes, go after those things you want, girl. And you know you are already whole and complete just as you are without them. This mindset will change your life. It has changed my life. It is also a mindset that I'm continually working on because it's so hard to uncondition ourselves from tying our external world to our internal world, to feeling like we are enough just as we are without having the handbags and the perfect outfit and the shiny skin and the perfect house and perfect partner and kids and dog and job and whatever it is. But we are enough just being you, this beautiful human being that you are. And can you imagine if you start every day, every moment, every interaction, every email you send, text you write from this place of enoughness, you will recognize how that changes the tone of how you connect to everything around you. So you're not striving for it. You're not grasping for it. You're instead allowing your heart and your mind to receive what comes your way. So I want to break this down. I want to break down what healthy striving gets to look like in this new year for all of us, myself included. So I started talking about this already, but this is the first one to really hone. It's effort that you care about what you want to go after in life, that you have those goals, you have those intentions, you're doing the work, you're taking the action, and you have the self-compassion to meet you there. So that you're taking action from this place of wholeness, from enoughness, from not a place of fear or a place that you have to put extra pressure on yourself to achieve something, to be worth something, that you are whole and complete just as you are. And knowing that life is going to life. Things this year, we have no idea what's going to happen, right? None of us have this magical ball. Even astrology can offer some things, but we don't know what's really going to happen. And so we want to keep moving forward one step at a time and also be open to that life isn't going to go as planned, that we can't have expectations of how things are going to look. So we get to just really release control here and be really kind to ourselves as we pivot, as we continue to take that effort and pivot with the moment at hand. And learn to accept that, learn to be okay with that. Another way to really think about healthy striving is to think about moving towards your goals from a place of intention and values alignment. So what I mean by that is I help people create what I call power intentions, this word, this theme for the year, right? That gets to be this goalpost, this North Star that gets to carry you. And for me, my words of the year, my power intention of 2026 is surrender and shimmer. And those words mean something very specific to me and a process that I walk people through in an intention setting session. And if you're interested in doing it one-on-one, I have a link in the show notes that you can sign up for. And in this process, we do a lot of visualization of this next year, and we connect to what matters to us, and we create our power intentions. And then from our power intentions, we then set larger goals for ourselves. But it's coming from a place of alignment. And we think about, why are those goals important to us? And when we ask that question, why are these goals important to us? It's helping us anchor into our values. It's helping us actually anchor into why does this matter? Why am I doing this year? Or why do I want to prioritize this year? Is it just because I saw my friend do it last year and I got really jealous or inspired by them? Is it because I think that's what I should be doing at this age or this point in my life? Is it because I just saw somebody on Instagram talk about it? Like, whatever it is, we want to connect you to your own truth, your own why, so that you're not getting wrapped up into the conditioning of how things should look or be, but instead really rooted in this is your life, baby. How do you want it to look and feel? And like, the power is in your hands. You are in the driver's seat of your beautiful life. So, what do you want it to look like, and why does that matter? So, when we're taking action from a place of meaning, from a place of mattering, from our deep values, that becomes a healthy form of striving because it's actually aligned in the individual versus this idea of striving to meet somebody else's goals or expectations or society's shoulds. And this, of course, ties back to this feeling of taking action from a whole and complete place, right? You're not setting these goals because you're inadequate or that this goal will then make you happy. You're setting them because you see that this is actually like a meaningful action or a meaningful step to take or a meaningful milestone to have. A huge part around healthy striving is this balance of responsible pacing. And I say responsible pacing because you get to take personal responsibility of your calendar, of the choices you make, of the energy you put out, the energy you put in, how resourced you are. And so responsible pacing is paying attention to, like, when do you need more rest? When do you want to rev it up? When do you need a break? When do you need to slow down? And only you can determine that. Only you can truly listen to what your body is telling you it's capable of. And part of responsible pacing is also being able to set boundaries, right? To be able to say no and say yes when it feels right to you, when it is conducive for your capacity. So you're not saying yes to everything and burning yourself out. Maybe you're not saying no to everything because you're not isolating yourself and shutting yourself out from the world or from creativity or from receiving. Another helpful way to think about healthy striving in 2026 is getting really clear on what does success look like, because it can be so easy to tie success to metrics, to numbers, to like, did this happen or did this not happen? But what if we started to actually think about success of how present was I at the dinner table with my family? Or how much rest did I get? How much sleep did I prioritize? Or how much joy did I bring into my day? How much joy did I intentionally schedule or create or prioritize? So I really welcome you to think about, as you're dreamstorming and planning and strategizing your new year, to get creative and think about success that includes your well-being. To remember that achievements aren't just about external results, right? Did I get the thing or do the thing? But it's also about the feelings that we cultivated, how alive we felt in our day-to-day. I just had a conversation with a client around their power intention for 2026, and it was around enjoying the small moments. That is her intention, to enjoy the small moments. And we think of life that they have to always be these like big milestones or these big achievements, but it's like, can we actually even just be present enough to remember those moments of connection, connection with her kids, connection with family members, with friends, like to really be able to savor that is what feels meaningful to her. When you think about tracking your success, if that's important to you, since there might not be data, right? Did I do it or did I not do it? Did I hit that number? Did I not? to even just have a check-in question at the end of your day. Maybe you're journaling or you're reflecting on it of like, how present was I today? Or how much joy did I cultivate today or experience or give or bring to my life? So we can even just have a curious question that we can ask ourselves to get to understand this metric, this feeling, this well-being that we're practicing this year. As a reminder, one of the big components of non-striving is not judging yourself. So what we want with healthy striving is to allow ourselves to take the action, to show up to our best ability. And when we are reflecting on our success, that we're not judging, did I do a good or a bad job? That we're not creating that kind of critical critique, but instead we're giving ourselves honest feedback and having an honest and curious conversation with ourselves that has a lot of kindness, not judgment, but a lot of kindness. Like, oh, today I actually realized I wasn't that present and I really wish I was. And I could have been a little bit more present by putting my phone down when I came home. Or I could have been more present in that conversation. I was so distracted with work, and maybe being more present could have looked like me making eye contact with my partner as he talked about the day. So dropping the judgment is really necessary here, and welcoming in just some more discernment, some more clear clarity. We don't need to get into the criticalness, because when we can feel the critical voice inside of us get louder, some of us might have one critical voice, some of us might have many different shades and types of critical voices that show up. And when they do, we know that's a protective part of ourselves chirping up. It's a protective part of ourselves showing up in a way that's trying to keep us small and safe and in the same pattern. And so working with that critical voice to just welcome it, to be a little kinder, to be a little bit more curious, can be a really powerful tool. And I know for me personally, having a meditation practice and being able to journal and hear and see the critical voice and be able to lovingly out it and then offer just a softer tone, just a lightly kinder tone. That's the first step that really helped me pay attention to how I'm talking to myself. Am I talking to myself as if I'm my best friend or my worst enemy? And I want to be my best friend. That's in my 100 Mindful Moments to Balance and Energize book. That is number one in the mindset, is be your best friend, not your worst enemy. And when you're being your best friend, you're not being this fake cheerleader. You're being somebody who really takes a stand for your life, who wants to celebrate you, who's here to encourage you, who's here to be truthful and loving. And that's what we get to be to ourselves. This beautifully brings us into the last way I want to offer us to play with healthy striving in 2026. And this ties nicely to how we started this episode. So when things go awry, when life goes as unplanned, as we talked about, when there's setbacks, when maybe failed projects or failed initiatives, we want to see all of these opportunities not as failures with this capital F that can be really triggering to some of us, myself included. And it's recognizing that setbacks are a place of learning. They're an opportunity to gain information. And I've started to realize this kind of visual has helped me a lot, that when there are setbacks is to see them not as this capital F failure, but as this stoplight. Like you are currently at a stoplight, and at a stoplight, you take a pause and you note your surroundings. You make sure it's clear, it's safe. You're collecting information from the environment, internally and externally. And then the light will eventually turn green and you continue to proceed. And sometimes we don't know when that light is going to turn green, and that can feel frustrating. But we're just there to collect some information, to collect some data, and we know the light is going to turn green, and we're going to eventually keep going on, keep continuing with our journey. And so when there are setbacks, to recognize that we don't need to put our foot on the gas pedal to overcompensate them and bulls through them. And why I say bulls through them is that what I've noticed, and this comes up sometimes in my sessions with clients, is that we don't want to stop to gather information. We don't want to stop to look at what went wrong or what could I have done better, or, how could this work smarter in the future? Because we can see these mistakes and kind of tie that to this internal conversation of I'm not enough. And so when we bulldoze through that, it's like we're not slowing down to make that connection of I'm not enough, because that's so painful. And so that, first of all, is not really a real story, right? That's just a story that tends to come up in people's minds, that when there's a mistake, when there's a failure, it equals I am a failure. I am not good enough. So healthy striving in these moments when there are setbacks, when there are mistakes, is to take that moment to really pause, recollect, reground, take a moment to notice, gain information, let it inform you before you put your foot on the gas pedal and keep going. And let you remember, let that internal critical voice know that you are enough no matter what has happened in the external circumstances. The failure does not equate to your sense of worth, right? Your outcomes don't equate to your sense of worth. You are whole and complete just as you are, without any of the doing in life. And this is a huge, if you can take one thing from this episode, hold on to that, is that you are whole and complete no matter what happens this year. You don't have to lose 10 pounds. You don't have to read 25 books. You don't have to get married. You don't have to get a promotion. You don't have to get a new car. You don't have to buy that purse. Whatever it is, you don't have to do any of that to change your worth. So start this year with this inner sense, focus on this inner sense of self-worth, that you are whole and complete just as you are. All of you, all of the parts and pieces, the pieces that you maybe don't like, the parts and pieces that you think are broken or hurting or full of grief, the parts that you love, the parts that you want more of, all of you. And start the year from that whole and complete place. And I promise you, you are already more than halfway there to be having a healthier relationship with striving in this new year. And if you are hearing this episode and it's touching something deep inside of you, or you're looking for more ways to really love on yourself fully, wholly, to know that you are whole and complete, I welcome you to reach out for coaching one-on-one. I'm opening up a few more spots at the beginning of this year for Q1 to work with new clients. And if this is something that you're feeling really called to help heal and to help love on, I welcome you to really reach out, because a lot of the things that we want in life, a lot of places that we want to go, it's great. Those are amazing things. And yes, we can go there. We can support you achieving them. And the work for it to really work begins on the inside. So that's what we do in coaching together. We work on both the inner work and the outer work. The inner work of all of the things that I've been talking about today, a lot of mindset, emotional regulation, somatic work. And then we also work on the external. What are the action steps? What are the tangible things that you're doing to help move you forward in a pace and in a manner that works for you in your life. So if you're curious, I welcome you to sign up for a free discovery call, 30-minute session that we just get to know each other. We get to learn more about what you want to work on in coaching, explore for a fit, talk about how I work with my clients more intimately, and then we take it from there. As we bring this episode to a close, I welcome you to pause here. Let all of this goodness just settle in your heart, in your mind, in your body. And gently ask yourself, what's one way that I want to start practicing healthy striving? Maybe you're already doing some of this, which is great. Keep it up. Is there another way that you want to practice or play with? Are you interested in really focusing on how your effort, how the action steps you take can be met with self-compassion? Are you feeling motivated about using your values and intentions to support you taking action this year? Are you curious to explore more about responsive pacing, what that looks like? Or maybe learning how to define success in a way that also includes your well-being. Or taking note of setbacks, knowing that's maybe a place that it's felt sticky in the past. And that's really where you want to practice some healthy striving this year, is learning to not collapse with the setbacks, but to use them as information that you are enough to keep moving forward. I would love to hear from you. What's stirring inside of your heart? So feel free to reach out on Instagram, drop me a DM at OneWade, send me a note linked in the show notes if you're more of an email person. And I welcome you to share this episode with somebody in your community that needs to hear about healthy striving, that you know that this episode will support them and maybe support each other having these deeper, more meaningful conversations, being accountability buddies in life. Thank you for being here as always and letting me enter your ears, your heart, your mind. Until next time, stay centered.